Hey there. I just want to say, I've gotten probably more attention on these videos that I've started putting up than I ever thought I would, and I think other people might have been noticing them too. I don't know, but if I start getting these things where they have 15 or 20 views like within a day or two, if I get one video, I will put a little bit of effort in and I'll make like a little placard for the front and the back, for Midwest politics and that, if I can, if I got the time. And but I've been putting these up, and then yesterday when I got on, it would have been late afternoon, early evening. Uh, this is what I found on Twitter, and I was suspended once for a comment. I'll talk about that. And what they did is they basically say, hey, here's what you did. Here's why it violates our rules. This is how long you're going to be in Twitter jail. And as soon as you delete your post, I don't know why they just don't delete it or hide it, or to me it's the equivalent of making a kid go get his own fucking switch to get his ass beat when he's a kid. Um, but this is what I got, and I have sent three different, and they are, it's part of the appeals process, and I don't really think it's an appeal because I don't think I've been suspended. I think I've been locked out of the account, but I don't have an indication of this because they're not basically saying, well, here's the offending tweet, here's what you did. Everything seems to suggest that if I actually give them a mobile phone where they can contact me, that I'll be let back into my account. And I don't understand this because I don't remember ever linking a phone to the Twitter account. And even if I did, it was years ago. I don't remember doing it, and I don't have the account anymore. I don't have the phone anymore. I so I don't know, but it seems really odd that all of a sudden, like right after I started posting these political things on Twitter and linking them to my YouTube account, YouTube doesn't have a problem. Twitch doesn't have a problem. But right after I started, announcing all these videos on Twitter to try and get some, attention on my YouTube channel, all of a sudden now they're like shutting my account down. They want a phone number, and I don't understand it. Never needed one before. And I got to be honest with you, some of the politics stuff, to give you the history of it, some of the politics stuff that I'm going to try and shy away from the details because this is my gaming channel. I'm going to try and share this on my gaming channel on Twitch. But like on Twitter, I have a private account, my personal account, and then I have my gaming account. And I fail sometimes because I don't really, I'm lightheaded, whatever. But for the most part, I try and keep all the political stuff on my personal account. And I make mistakes, but sometimes I forget which one I'm on. But I try to do it. Well, I have actually had people, and the zip code on the caller ID was a Washington, D.C. zip code. I've had them call people harassing them because of stuff that I apparently was putting up on Twitter. And for if anybody from Twitch sees this or if anybody contacts them, I've had these very fine people harassing people apparently because of stuff I put up on Twitter. And it's happened at least three times. And every time I put the phone number, what was on the caller ID, and I said, yeah, this person is harassing a friend of mine. This person is harassing somebody with my last name, but is not, these are not phone numbers that are mine. I don't own them. I'm not associated with them. They're just calling people at random out of a phone book to harass them. You see the stuff in the news about how toxic these people are. The first email I sent Twitter, I'm like, hey, look, I'm really leery of associating a phone with any social media account anymore because of these very fine people. I've told them, I go, hey, I've been harassed before on the phone by linking phones to social media. So I don't do it with TikTok or anyone else. And if that means I can't use the service, then I generally don't use the service. Like I was going to do Hover for my gaming channel. Well, there was no way I could get Hover to work unless I gave them a cell phone number. And I'm like, well, I ain't doing it because I don't want these unstable people on the internet having a direct number to fucking harass me. I just don't. And So that was the first email, and then like an hour or two later, they still hadn't turned my account back. Well, then yesterday, and I don't know if it started yesterday, but yesterday I had originally responded to a congressman about some stuff going on again on my personal account, and the fucking lunatic fringe just came out. I mean, these are the people that think the election was stolen. These are the people that think uh, if the FBI arrests people that agree with them, that they're somehow political prisoners or it's a kidnapping. These are not mentally stable people. And I had just asked the question, and I might have done it the night before and it spilled over to the next day. I don't know, but I had answered. I'd asked a question on his post, and it was basically, well, and I've got videos on YouTube now, but it's on my personal account, which I really don't want to tie up on this. I just want to get the issue out there because it also affects my gaming thing now too. Although I'm not putting a lot of content up right now, I got some health issues, as I've said before. Pretty sure I was drugged or poisoned for being a whistleblower while I was working at GM, and I've got videos out that on my personal channel that discuss this. And the person that took me in was just diagnosed with inoperable cancer. So my my future is very much uncertain right now. And again, I don't have a PayPal. I'm not asking for money. I with my health issues, I think I'm a horribly bad investment. To be completely honest, when my health went bad a couple years ago, they effectively killed me. The people responsible for it effectively killed me. And anything that happens now is just putting me out of my misery. And so I'm not looking for a handout. If you want to do something though, subscribe to the channel, like the video, pass it around. That would help out a lot. Um, I'm just trying to put enough sunlight on this, so maybe it will force GM to deal with it because I don't think it's the corporate. Um, I just don't think it's the corporate side of it. Whatever was going on, it was local, and I had issues at my first plant, but nothing like what I did when I was working down in Indiana. I'm hoping it would put enough sunlight on it so maybe some of the people that were involved in what was going on and who may have been responsible if I was drugged or I'd like to see them fired. I'd like to see the people that retired early so they could sneak out with. I'd like to see them lose their pension. I'd like to see them go to jail. And if enough sunlight comes down on this, maybe it'll happen. I think it's too late to fix me. Um, I do. I think it's too late to fix me. And but I'd like to maybe prevent the next person from getting it. And but sorry, I just but I had some political posts. These guys called and they were clearly according to unless they were spoofing their caller ID, it was a Washington D.C. number. And from what was relayed to me, uh, one of them claimed that they were some from accountability office. They were looking for me. And if you watch Rachel Maddow a few months ago, she explained that this accountability office was actually being used in some states for them to gain access to the voting machines. And in at least one state, they had to, it cost them millions of dollars. They had to basically deactivate every machine that these people touched and buy new ones because they cannot certify that that is a valid, accurate machine to use. They have no idea. They can't guarantee that these people didn't do something nefarious because the chain of custody on those machines was gone. And so I told them, I go, well, yeah, if you get anybody calling from that accountability office, and they go, oh, I handled it pretty good. I asked, well, who their boss was, what their name was, because they were told that it was going to be reported to the government, to Congress, the congressman that, hey, this person's calling from this office. Who the hell are they? And they hung up, I guess. And then there was another one where the guy called again, looking for me, my personal name. And when the person started questioning him, the person just started shouting over him on the phone. Well, there's been at least three times I think, where I have gone onto Twitter and I put down the phone number, the identification that was on the caller ID, the time of day, and then it seemed to stop for a little bit. And it only happened three times. It seemed to stop permanently the last time. And now I got this. I was basically calling for, hey, if they can bankrupt Alex Jones for his lies, why can't they charge Fox News, OAN, Alex Jones, and Republicans that lied about the election and actually got, a handful of people killed on January the 6th? And that might have been what sparked this up. Because again, they're not trying to take down. Because the last time I got complaints like this, somebody had asked the question on Twitter. They wanted to know what you thought should happen to a certain politician if he was convicted of a crime. And all I did was answer. I'm like, well, if they're convicted of treason, they should be shot. I wasn't asking for, some unwashed, ignorant mob to go to the guy's house and fucking plug him. I wasn't asking for a mob of terrorists to go attack our capital to enforce my will or my delusions. And I got suspended for that. And then they said, well, 12 hours after you delete it, your account will be active again. And I deleted it because, I'm not going to call this a First Amendment issue. I'm not. It's their company. Twitter has a right to run their company. First Amendment covers when the government censors you. It doesn't cover you when, Twitter makes a business decision. And I just made the comment. I go, hey, look, I deleted it, but I also appealed it because I wanted to get into my account. I don't use it very often, but when I'm at it, I like to use it. And I appealed it. I said, hey, look, I wasn't calling for violence. I was basically, I go, saying that if the person is convicted of treason, and I go, my understanding is the punishment for treason is, the death penalty. And I pointed out that the former guy made the firing squad legal again. And then, it took a little bit, like, 20 minutes, hour, or something like that. And I got a response, oh, on further review of your thing, we're just going to keep the suspension in place. And I just responded, and it basically said, oh, these are not monitored. Well, bullshit. But the response I got, but I just sort of responded to it. I go, hey, hey, it's your company. You do what you want. But I go, I am really sad to see that you guys are sticking up for the domestic terrorists that are going on in our country. These very fine people that are out there on the right. And I I just made the comment, it just saddened me that you guys are taking the side of terrorists. I go, just really, it absolutely is making me sad. And but I go, I'll make sure I let everybody know that you guys would rather stick up for the terrorists than for good Americans. And then I don't know what happened, but it was way less than 12 hours. My account was working again and all that. And I don't understand this. Um, they suddenly have to have my phone number. They won't let me use Twitter. I'm not verified. I don't have one of those blue check marks or anything. I don't understand this at all. But what the plan is, I'm working on borrowing or getting like a cheap prepaid phone, and I'll give Twitter that. That'll get me back into my account. I will give Twitter that. But if I start getting these fucking just strange phone calls, like some of the ones other people I know have got, then I'll know because it's the only one when I get that, the only one that's going to get that number is Twitter. And if I start getting all these strange calls, to buy like, to get, on the my extended warranty for my car, threats, whatever, I'll know that Twitter's the one that did it, and I will report back to you. I will let you know because they're the only ones that I'm going to give it to. And if I start getting a shitload of fucking strange calls on that, we'll know that Twitter either, through, whether they're a useful idiot or whether they're complicit in it, we'll know that they're giving this phone number to people that are going to harass me. And we'll go from there. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm seriously going to try. And, I just don't even, oh, yeah, here, use this phone number. I'm not doing that because then you can access my account. It's going to have to be something that I control. And if I can, I'll do that. So we'll have a little better idea of what's going on with Twitter. And, technically it won't be my phone, but I'll at least try and get one that I can receive text messages on, and we'll go from there. But yeah, this is some strange shit. But again, I think most people can understand that with the fucking nut jobs out there, uh, you just don't want to give these guys the ability to just reach out to you because they're not mentally stable. We're basically dealing with a terrorist cult with the Republican Party, and until we get a handle on it, you just be careful out there. I'm not trying to silence anybody, but just watch your back. Be careful. And it does seem like some of these social medias are in bed with them, just stupidly doing their wishes. And stuff like this makes me think that we really need to do uh, take away a lot of their immunity because, like that other one, now they had a right to run their they got a right to run their company however, but like in that last one where they were basically trying to protect terrorists, they didn't want you talking about what the legal punishment for certain crimes was. They didn't want you talking about that. It almost seems like again, they might not be smart enough to realize what they're doing, but they're supporting these terrorists. And like some of the comments I made the other day, we got talking, and then you had people like, oh well, you gotta do CNN and MSNBC. I go, well, first of all, what did CNN and MSNBC do? What did they lie about? And they go, oh, that Russian hoax, that Russian stuff. And I told them, I go, well, one, even if what you were saying was true, I go, you'd have to show that it was willful, that they knowingly lied about it. And then you'd have to show the damage that was created. Because, like, Alex Jones did not get fined $50 million because he told a fib. That would have been about 4 or 5 million. That was liable. That was something they could be sued for. And the 45 million roughly, that was because these people got harassed. People showed up. And I mean, we're not talking about, where the far right would go out and vandalize stuff and then try and blame it on Black Lives Matter. We're not talking about that. I mean, these were his fucking nut job followers. And they were like fucking storming these guys' house. Someone had to move. At least one person. These were two people that sued him, and he's got like two or three more lawsuits coming. And and like with January 6th, you can see the pattern. You can see the coordination. This was a conspiracy to lie about this election. Well, it culminated in 5 people dying in the Capitol, from what I'm seeing in the reporting. And I don't know if they're counting the people that committed suicide. If that's the case, I would charge them with that. Maybe it won't stick, but I would charge them with that if I was. But again, I'm not a lawyer, so that's why I was asking the question. And then you had you had at least one cop that I know of. There's probably more. They got injured so bad they can no longer work. They lost their job. And with the shit that happened with me when I was working at GM, and I firmly believe that I was drugged or poisoned for being a whistleblower. I'm a little sensitive to that. That kind of bothers me. And then you got, just the hundreds, if not more, cops that were attacked down there. And I don't understand why nobody has been charged with that yet. If they're waiting to get them, but you've had a handful of people that have been charged, and they all entered that building. Well, even some judges have looked at it and said, "Are you sure this is all you want to charge these guys with?" And they're, "Oh yeah, Your Honor, yes, that's all. That's all Mr. Magoo, the Attorney General, will let us do." And I'm thinking, how fucking hard is this? I'm not a lawyer, but it looks pretty black and white to me. Why are they not being charged for the 5 deaths? You had that mentally ill Air Force veteran that got shot in the head because she didn't listen to the fucking cops. She was trying to crawl through a broken window. And, her death is on their hands. Everyone that was there, everybody that was enabled by this, because, they just didn't show up there. This was a plan. They were invited. You can see the text messages and some of the, hey, show up. It'll be wild. They're coming. Hey, we showed up because Donald Trump told us to come. Well, I just wonder if you had said, hey, look, here's what you did. We need like 10, 15 years, and we need you to plead guilty to it. Oh, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, then what we're going to do is when we go to court, We're going to charge you with the 5 people that died. We're going to charge you with the 2 people that committed suicide. We're going to charge you with all the people that were injured and can no longer hold their job as a Capitol police officer. And we're going to charge you with like hundreds and hundreds of assaults on the cops there. And you're going to probably go to jail for life. So you can plead guilty and you'll be out in 10 to 20 years, or you can do this and the death penalty might be on the table. Life in jail might be on the table. I got a feeling that some of the, again, some of them are probably going to roll the dice, but I don't understand why we had, some of these guys didn't even spend a year in jail. Some of them didn't even spend a day in jail. Some of them got a suspended sentence. I mean, hell, some of these judges were letting these people go on vacation to Cancun. And what have we seen? You had one person, she's like, oh, I'm white, I'm rich, I'm Christian, I'm not going to jail. I got blonde hair. And then when she found out she was going to jail, she tried to make light of it. Then you had another guy, he begged for mercy for the court. And as soon as he got sentenced, then he was on social media going, yeah, that fucking judge, I lied to him so I get a lighter sentence. These people, most of them don't have any regret. They don't have any remorse. And like you had a woman that, again, you can believe what you want, but she honestly didn't know if she could vote. She thought she could because it was on the bubble. She thought she had, her felony had been expunged and she could, because it was just a matter of time. But it turned out, well, she can't vote in this election. She can vote in the next one. Well, could. And when she went to vote, they're like, well, you're not on the list. But they said, hey, what we can do is we can do a challenge ballot. And then if you can't vote, it'll get thrown out, no big deal. And if you can, it'll get counted. So she did the challenge vote. Now, even if you assume that she knew she couldn't vote, she got like 5 years in jail. That's the assumption, and I don't think it's true. But I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't have the ability to read her mind. But even if you believe the worst, that she knew damn well she couldn't vote, she wanted to get out there and vote. She went, she voted peacefully. She voted in a way where it was going to be scrutinized. And if she couldn't vote, it was going to be thrown out. This woman should not have been charged. She got 5 years. These people were part of a violent mob that went to the Capitol. They saw people building a gallows. They were standing around while people were chanting, hang Mike Pence. They were standing around while people were talking about dragging Nancy Pelosi, AOC, and others by their hair through the fucking streets. Then they violently attacked police. Even the ones that weren't violently attacked, they stood there and watched. After they breached the Capitol, these people went in. They saw that they were walking through broken glass. Apparently, people were peeing and wiping feces on the wall. They went through all of that, and they got probation, some of them. They got a month in jail. They got a week in jail. 5 years is, and there was a reporter, and I can't remember the guy, but he said that's, when that black lady got sentenced to 5 years for voting peacefully, he goes, 5 years is the minimum that I will accept as anything approaching justice. They should have got more than 5 years. Everybody that walked in peacefully should have got a minimum of 5 years, more likely 10, 15. And anybody that broke a glass, anybody that broke into an office, anybody that fucking moved a fucking pedestal or anything in there, they should have been getting a minimum of 20 years, if not more. And I don't understand why these guys, I mean, if you or I robbed a bank and somebody got killed, we'd get charged with the murder. If a cop shot somebody on accident, we'd get charged. If one of our co-conspirators got shot, we'd be charged with murder. I don't understand why these people weren't fucking charged. And I was just asking the question, if Alex Jones can be held accountable for Sandy Hook, why is he not being charged with the murders for his election lies? Why isn't Fox News and some of the people that work there, the on-air talent, because not all of them were doing it. It was just, I would say the company bears responsibility. Remember, corporations are people. So I don't know why that person called Fox News is not being held responsible. I don't know why the editors and the showrunners for like Hannity and some of the others, I don't understand why they're not being charged for their role in those deaths. I don't know why OAN isn't, and I don't know why the Republicans that were constantly going on TV, the speech and debate clause, fuck that. There's got to be limits to that, like there is to the First Amendment. But these people weren't debating in Congress. They were going on right-wing news, or so-called right-wing news. And they were spreading these lies. Well, it led to people's death. And I mean, we can see from the January 6th Commission where the White House counsel, he's like, hey, look, people are going to die and we're going to get blamed. Well, they should have known this going into it. And, you know, when I made my comments on that, you know, I think I'm well within right now. If it violates their terms of service, hey, let me know. I'll delete it. But that should not be, you know, off limits. You know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But they're not asking me. They just want my phone number. And the other thing is, one of the comments I made, it was, you know, one of the comments I made, you know, because there were people like, oh, the Russian hoax this, the Russian hoax that, and they were delusional. They were absolutely delusional. Like some of them were wondering, they were blaming the FBI for that girl getting shot, saying it was an overreach. It's like, I'm sorry, you know. I'm gonna do another video on this because I saw a clip from MSNBC that I think explains it better than I can. I'll give it like an intro and then let it run. But my God, man, the the same stupidity. They're like, well, why did she get shot? Because she broke the law. And just to clear it up, I made the comment. I go, hey, look, I go, everybody that breached the Capitol should have either been shot or arrested. Every single one of them should have been shot or arrested. And I go, when you look at the sheer numbers of people that they assaulted the Capitol with in that terrorist attack, and again, I can do a little more here because I don't have a 255 character limit, but like the sheer numbers of people they had made shooting them the only viable option. Look what happened. They shot her in the head, and the other ones kept trying to break in that. They quit trying to break into that building. They quit trying to breach that door. They backed off. If when this thing started, if they had shot the first 20 or 30 people who came through each door, the vast majority of those people would have never come into the Capitol. They just would have never come into the Capitol. It would have put this down in like 5-10 minutes, and we could have moved on with our day. You know, our tax dollars wouldn't have to go to cleaning all the feces off the wall. It wouldn't have to cover the damage they did. You know, there'd have been a little damage at the doors, and we wouldn't have had, you know, the vice president coming, you know, within a heartbeat of dying. You know, if when those people started building the gallows, if they would have just opened, you know, if they now, because again, there were just too many people there. I don't think the cops could safely make an arrest. But when those guys started building that gallows, they'd have probably only had to shoot one or two of them. And guess what? That would have stopped. You know, we need to dust off Janet Reno's playbook. Law enforcement does. So this stuff will stop. You look at Obama when he was there, and I consider this a mistake that Obama's made, and his attorney general, whichever one, I can't remember, it was Holden or the other guy, whichever one it was, they made this mistake. You had these domestic terrorists that took over a federal wildlife reserve, and they were fucking, I think they were using like an Indian grave site or something. It was like a historical site. You weren't supposed to do it. Oh, they fucking dug a trench in there with a backhoe and were using it as a fucking latrine. You had Porky the Patriot making daily YouTube videos, and they let these motherfuckers drive around the area, giving speeches, picking up groceries and shit like that. They should have locked that place down. And again, anybody that came out should have been arrested or shot. And that one there, they might. And then when they did, when they finally tried to arrest these guys opened fire on them. Like the that Finicum guy, he got shot dead. He was DRT, dead right there. And they, you know, he either made a motion like he was drawing a gun or he actually drew a gun, but they gunned him down. As soon as they did that, they had to shoot one rabid dog. And they arrested the rest of them. They didn't have 5 cops die. They didn't have 2 of them commit suicide. They didn't have hundreds of cops injured, but they put that down. And then what happened? All the people that were back at the wildlife reserve, all but 4 or 5 of them fled in terror. They fled in terror to go crawl back under that fucking hillbilly rock they have down south. Some of them even left their guns and their equipment. Thousands of dollars worth of guns and equipment. They just dropped it and ran because they were so fucking scared. if those cops would have been armed and they would have opened up on the first handful that came in, because there was no way they were going to stop that crowd peacefully. There was just no way. I don't think that that would have looked nearly as bad. I literally do not, and that's my opinion. I don't think it would have looked nearly as bad. And I made that comment, and I sort of told them when I emailed them, I'm like, hey, look, you know, I don't want to see this happen again. And I go, if some of these people, when they're on Twitter, if they can get outside their bubble and they can find out that, yeah, if this happens again, they're likely going to get shot. I go, it cuts the possibility that this, I go, now, if you want more cops dead on your hands, then by all means, that's your call. But I go one, but again, I don't think those are the comments that they're concerned about. They might be now that I've made them aware of it, but like, I just, it seems to be they just want my phone number. And if I find anything out, I'll let you know. Peace out. Hope everybody has a good day.